Chapter 1: What is financial intelligence? When I was 5 years old, I was rushed to the hospital for emergency surgery. As I understand it, I had a serious infection in my ears, a complication from chicken pox. Although it was a frightening experience, I have a cherished memory of my dad, my younger brother, and my 2 sisters standing on the lawn outside the hospital window waving to me as I lay in bed recovering. My mom was not there. She was at home, bedridden, struggling with a weak heart. Within a year, my younger brother was taken to the hospital after falling from a ledge in the garage and landing on his head. My younger sister was next. She needed an operation on her knee. And the youngest, my sister Beth, a newborn baby, had a severe skin disorder that continually baffled the doctors. It was a tough year for my dad, and he was the only one out of 6 not to succumb to a medical challenge. The good news is that we all recovered and lived healthy lives. The bad news was the medical bills that kept coming. My father may not have become ill that year, but he did contract a crippling malady, overwhelming medical debt. At the time, my dad was a graduate student at the University of Hawaii. He was brilliant in school, receiving his bachelor's degree in just 2 years, and had dreams of one day becoming a college professor. Now with a family of 6, a mortgage, and high medical bills to pay, he let go of his dream and took a job as an assistant superintendent of schools in the little town of Hilo, on the Big Island of Hawaii. Just so he could afford to move our family from one island to another, he had to get a loan from his own father. It was a tough time for him and for our family. Although he did achieve tremendous professional success and was finally awarded his doctorate degree, I suspect not realizing his dream of becoming a college professor haunted my father until his dying days. He often said, "When you kids are out of the house, I'm going back to school and doing what I love, teaching." Instead of teach, however, he eventually became the superintendent of education for the state of Hawaii, an administrative post, and then ran for lieutenant governor and lost. At the age of 50, he was suddenly unemployed. Soon after the election, my mom suddenly died at the age of 48 due to her weak heart. My father never recovered from that loss. Once again, money problems piled up. Without a job, he decided to withdraw his retirement savings, and invested in a national ice cream franchise. He lost all his money. As he grew older, my father felt he was left behind by his peers. His life's career was over. Without his job as the head of education, his identity was gone. He grew angrier at his rich classmates who had gone into business, rather than education as he did. Lashing out, he often said, "I dedicated my life to educating the children of Hawaii, and what do I get? Nothing. My fat cat classmates get richer, and what do I get? Nothing." I will never know why he did not go back to the university to teach. I believe it was because he was trying very hard to become rich quickly and to make up for lost time. He wound up chasing flaky deals and hanging out with fast-talking con men. None of his get-rich-quick ventures succeeded. If not for a few odd jobs and Social Security, he might have had to move in with one of the kids. A few months before he died of cancer at the age of 72, my father pulled me close to his bedside and apologized for not having much to leave his children. Holding his hand, I put my head on his hand and we cried together. Not enough money. My poor dad had money problems all his life. No matter how much money he made, his problem was not enough money. His inability to solve that problem caused him great pain up till he died. Tragically, he felt inadequate, both professionally and as a father. Being from the world of academics, he did his best to push his financial problems aside and dedicate his life to a higher cause than money. He did his best to assert that money did not matter, even when it did. He was a great man, a great husband and father, and a brilliant educator. Yet it was this thing called money that often called the shots, silently hounded him, and, sadly, towards the end, was the measure he used to evaluate his life. As smart as he was, he never solved his money problems. Too much money. My rich dad, who began to teach me about money at the age of 9, also had money problems. He solved his money problems differently than my poor dad. He acknowledged that money did matter, and because he realized that, he strove to increase his financial intelligence at every chance. To him that meant tackling his money problems head-on and learning from the process. My rich dad was not nearly as academically smart as my poor dad, but because he solved his money problems differently, and increased his financial intelligence, my rich dad's money problem was too much money. Having two dads, one rich and one poor, I learned that rich or poor, we all have money problems. The money problems of the poor are 1. Not having enough money. 2. Using credit to supplement money shortages. 3. The rising cost of living. 4. Paying more in taxes the more they make. 5. Fear of emergencies. 6. Bad financial advice. 7. Not enough retirement money. The money problems of the rich are 1. Having too much money. 2. Needing to keep it safe and invested. 3. Not knowing whether people like them, or their money. 4. Needing smarter financial advisors. 5. Raising spoiled kids. 6. Estate and inheritance planning. 7. Excessive government taxes. My poor dad had money problems all his life. No matter how much money he made, his problem was not enough money. My rich dad also had money problems. His problem was too much money. Which money problem do you want? Poor solutions to money problems. Learning at an early age that we all have money problems, no matter how rich or how poor we are, was a very important lesson for me. Many people believe that if they had a lot of money, their money problems would be over. Little do they know that having lots of money just causes even more money problems. One of my favorite commercials is for a financial services company and starts with the rapper McHammer dancing with beautiful women, a Bentley and a Ferrari, and a grossly oversized mansion behind him. In the background, high-end specialty goods are being moved into the mansion. McHammer's one-hit wonder, "You Can't Touch This," is playing as all this is happening. Then the screen goes black and displays the words 15 minutes later. The next scene is McHammer sitting on a curb in front of the same ridiculous mansion, his head in his hands, next to a sign that reads "Foreclosed." The announcer says, "Life comes at you fast. We're here to help." The world is full of McHammers. We all have heard of lottery winners who win millions and then are deeply in debt a few years later. Or the young professional athlete who lives in a mansion while he is playing and then lives under a bridge once his playing days are over. Or the young rock star who is a multimillionaire in his 20s and looking for a job in his 30s. Money alone does not solve your money problems. That is why giving poor people money does not solve their money problems. In many cases, it only prolongs the problem and creates more poor people. Take for instance the idea of welfare. From the time of the Great Depression until 1996, the government guaranteed money to the nation's poor regardless of personal circumstance. All you had to do was qualify for the poverty requirements to receive a government check, perpetually. If you showed initiative, got a job, and earned more than the poverty requirement, the government cut off your benefits. Of course, the poor then had other costs associated with working that they didn't have before, such as uniforms, childcare, transportation, etc. In many cases they ended up with less money than before they had a job, and less time. The system benefited those who were lazy and punished those who showed initiative. The system created more poor people. Hard work doesn't solve money problems. The world is filled with hardworking people who have no money to show for it. Hardworking people who earn money, yet grow deeper in debt, needing to work even harder for even more money. Education does not solve money problems. The world is filled with highly educated poor people. They're called socialists. A job does not solve money problems. For many people, the letters JOB stand for just over broke. There are millions who earn just enough to survive but cannot afford to live. Many people with jobs cannot afford their own home, adequate health care, education, or even set aside enough money for retirement. What solves money problems? Financial intelligence solves money problems. In simple terms, financial intelligence is that part of our total intelligence we use to solve financial problems. Some examples of very common money problems are: 1. I don't earn enough money. 2. I'm deeply in debt. 3. I can't afford to buy a home. 4. My car is broken. How do I find the money to fix it? 5. I have $10,000. What should I invest in? 6. My child wants to go to college, but we don't have the money. 7. I don't have enough money for retirement. 8. I don't like my job, but I can't afford to quit. 9. I'm retired, and I'm running out of money. 10. I can't afford the surgery. Financial intelligence solves these and other money problems. Unfortunately, if our financial intelligence is not developed enough to solve our problems, the problems persist. They don't go away. Many times they get worse, causing even more money problems. For example, there are millions of people who do not have enough money set aside for retirement. If they fail to solve that problem, the problem will get worse, as they grow older and require more money for medical care. Like it or not, money does affect lifestyle and quality of life, as well as afford conveniences and hassle-free choices. The freedom of choice that money offers can mean the difference between hitchhiking or taking the bus, or traveling by private jet. Solving money problems makes you smarter. When I was a young boy, Rich Dad said to me, "Money problems make you smarter if you solve the problem." He also said, if you solve your money problem, your financial intelligence grows. When your financial intelligence grows, you become richer. If you do not solve your money problem, you become poorer. If you do not solve your money problem, that problem often grows into more problems. If you want to increase your financial intelligence, you need to be a problem solver. If you don't solve your money problems, you will never be rich. In fact, you will become poorer the longer the problem persists. Rich Dad used the example of having a toothache to illustrate what he meant by a problem leading to other problems. He said, having a money problem is like having a toothache. If you do not handle the toothache makes you feel bad. If you feel bad, you may not do well at work because you are irritable. Not fixing the toothache can lead to further medical complications because it is easy for germs to breed and spread from your mouth. One day you lose your job because you have been missing work due to your chronic illness. Without a job, you cannot pay your rent. If you fail to solve the problem of rent money, you are on the street, homeless, in poor health, eating out of garbage cans, and you still have the toothache. While an extreme example, that story stayed with me. I realized at a young age the importance of solving problems, and the domino effect caused from not solving a problem. Many people do not solve their financial problems when they are small and at the toothache stage. Instead of solving the problem, they make it worse by ignoring it or not solving the root of the problem. For example, when short of money, many people use their credit cards to cover the shortfall. Soon they have credit card bills piling up and creditors hounding them for payment. To solve the problem, They take out a home equity loan to pay off their credit cards. The problem is they keep using the credit cards. Now they have a home equity mortgage to pay off and more credit cards. To solve this credit problem, they get new credit cards to pay off the old credit cards. Feeling depressed because of mounting money problems, they use the new credit cards to take a vacation. Soon they cannot pay their mortgage or their credit cards, and decide to declare bankruptcy. The trouble with declaring bankruptcy is that the root of the problem is still there, just like the toothache. The root of the problem is a lack of financial intelligence, and the problem caused by a lack of financial intelligence is an inability to solve simple financial problems. Rather than address the root of the problem, spending habits, in this case, many ignore the problem. If you don't pull a weed up by the root, and only cut off the top, it will come back quicker and bigger. The same is true for your financial problems. While these examples may seem extreme, they are not uncommon. The point is that financial problems are a problem, but they are a solution as well. If people solve problems, they get smarter. Their financial IQ goes up. Once smarter, they can now solve bigger problems. If they can solve bigger financial problems, they get richer. I like to use math as an example. Many people hate math. As you know, if you do not do your math homework, you can't solve math problems. If you can't solve math problems, you can't pass the math test. If you can't pass the math test, you get an F for your math course. Getting an F in your math course means you can't graduate from high school. Now the only job you can get is at McDonald's earning minimum wage. This is an example of how one small problem can turn into one big problem. On the other hand, if you diligently practice solving math problems, you become more and more intelligent, and able to solve more complex equations. After years of hard work, you are a math genius, and things that seemed hard before are now simple. We all have to start at 2 plus 2. Those who succeed don't stop there. The cause of poverty is simply having more problems than solutions. Poverty is caused by a person's being overwhelmed by problems he or she can't solve. Not all causes of poverty are financial problems. They can be problems like drug addiction, marrying the wrong person, living in a crime-ridden neighborhood, not having job skills, not having transportation to get to work, or not being able to afford healthcare. Some of today's financial problems, such as excessive debt and low wages, are caused by circumstances beyond an individual's ability to solve. Problems that have more to do with our government and a smoke and mirrors economy. For example, one of the causes of low wages is high-paying manufacturing jobs moving overseas. Today there are plenty of jobs, but they are in the service sector, not manufacturing. When I was a kid, General Motors was the nation's largest employer. Today Walmart is the nation's biggest employer. We all know that Walmart isn't known for its high-paying jobs, or its generous pensions. 50 years ago, it was possible for a person without much education to do well financially. Even if you had only a high school degree, a young person could get a relatively high-paying job manufacturing cars or steel. Today, it's manufacturing burgers. 50 years ago, the manufacturing companies provided healthcare and retirement benefits. Today, millions of workers are earning less, while at the same time needing more money to cover their own medical expenses and save enough for retirement. Every day these financial problems are not solved, they grow bigger. And they stem from a larger national problem that is beyond the power of the individual to change or solve. They stem from poor economic policies and cronyism. The rules of money have changed in 1971. President Nixon took us off the gold standard. This was a poor economic policy that changed the rules of money. It is one of the biggest financial changes in the history of the world, yet few people are aware of this change and its effect on the world economy today. One of the reasons so many people are struggling financially today is because of Nixon's actions. In 1971, the US dollar died because it was no longer money, it became a currency. There is a big difference between money and currency. The word currency comes from the word current, like an electrical or an ocean current. The word means movement. In overly simple terms, a currency needs to keep moving. If it stops moving, it rapidly loses value. If the loss of value is too great, people stop accepting it. If people stop accepting it, the value of the currency plummets to zero. After 1971, the US dollar began moving to zero. Historically, all currencies eventually go to zero. Throughout history, governments have printed currencies. During the Revolutionary War, the US government printed a currency known as the Continental. It was not long before this currency went to zero. After World War I, the German government printed a currency in hopes of paying its bills. Inflation exploded and the German middle class had its savings wiped out. In 1933, frustrated and broke, the German people elected Adolf Hitler to power in the hopes he would solve their financial problems. Also in 1933, Franklin Roosevelt created Social Security to solve the money problems of the American people. Although very popular, Social Security and Medicare are financial disasters about to erupt into massive financial problems. If the US government prints more funny money, that is currency, to solve these two massive financial problems, the value of the US dollar will die faster, and the financial problem will get bigger. This is not a future problem. It is happening now. According to a recent report by Bloomberg, the US dollar has lost 13.2% of its purchasing power since George W. Bush took office in January 2001. Nixon's change in the US dollar is one of the reasons so many people are in debt, just as the US government is in debt. When the rules of money changed in 1971, savers became losers, and debtors became winners. A new form of capitalism emerged. Today, when I hear people saying, "You need to save more money," or "save for retirement," I wonder if the person realizes that the rules of money have changed. Under the old rules of capitalism, it was financially smart to save money. But in the new capitalism, it's financial insanity to save a currency. It makes no sense to park your currency. In the new capitalism, currency must keep moving. If a currency stops flowing, it becomes worth less and less. A currency, like an electrical current, must move from asset to asset as quickly as possible. A currency's purpose is to acquire assets that are either appreciating in value or producing cash flow. A currency must move quickly to acquire real assets with real value, because the currency itself is rapidly declining in value. Prices of real assets such as gold, oil, silver, housing, and stocks inflate in price because the value of the currency is declining. Their inherent value does not change, only the amount of currency it takes to acquire them. Gresham's law states, when bad money comes into circulation, good money goes into hiding. In 1971, the US began flooding the world with funny money, bad money. In the new capitalism, it actually makes more sense to borrow today and pay back with cheaper dollars tomorrow. The US government does it. Why shouldn't we do it? The US government is in debt. Why shouldn't we be in debt? When you cannot change a system, the only way to succeed is to manipulate it. Because of the 1971 change in money, housing prices have soared as the purchasing power of the dollar has plunged. Stock markets rise because investors are seeking safe havens for their dollars. While economists call this inflation, it's really devaluation. It makes homeowners feel more secure because their home's value appears to go up. In reality, The purchasing power of the dollar goes down as the net worth of homeowners appears to go up. Higher home prices and lower wages, however, make it harder for young people to buy their first home. If young people do not recognize that the rules of money have changed, they will be far worse off than their parents as the U.S. currency continues to devalue. Another change in the rules of money occurred in 1974. Prior to 1974, businesses took care of an employee's retirement. They guaranteed the retiree a paycheck for as long as the retiree lived. As you probably already know, that is not the case any longer. Pension plans that pay an employee for life are called defined benefit, or DB, pension plans. Today, very few companies offer these plans. They are simply too expensive. After 1974, a new type of pension plan emerged, the defined contribution plan. Today such plans are known as 401 seconds, IRAs, KIOs, etc. Simply put, a DC plan has no guarantee of a paycheck for life. You only get back what you and your employer contribute. If you and your employer contribute anything. The newspaper USA Today found in a survey that the greatest fear in America today is not terrorism, but the fear of running out of money during retirement. One of the reasons for this pervasive fear can be traced back to the 1974 change in the rules of money. And the fear is valid. The U.S. education system doesn't equip its citizens with the financial knowledge required to successfully invest for retirement. If schools teach anything about money, they teach kids to balance their checkbooks, pick a few mutual funds, and pay bills on time. Hardly enough financial education to handle the financial problems we face. Beyond that, most people don't realize that the rules of money have changed and that if they are savers, they are losers. Underfunded retirement plans will be the next major U.S. economic crisis. Government safety nets? This lack of a secure financial future led to Social Security and Medicare, government safety nets created to solve financial problems for people who do not know how to solve their own problems. Both plans are bankrupt. Medicare is already operating in the red. Social Security will soon be operating in the red. In 2008, the first of 78 million baby boomers began to retire, and most of them do not have enough retirement income to survive on. According to the U.S. government, the obligations for Social Security are approximately $10 trillion, and the obligation for Medicare is $64 trillion. If these numbers are accurate, that means the $74 trillion owed to retirees by the U.S. government is more money than all the money available in all the world's stock markets. This is a big problem that needs financial intelligence to solve. Throwing more money at the problem will only make it worse. It may even collapse the entire system of funny money, sending the dollar closer to zero. Why the rich get richer? That the rules of money changed, that those changes make you poorer, and that they are out of your control may seem unfair. And it is. The key to becoming rich is to recognize that the system is unfair, learn the rules, and use them to your advantage. This takes financial intelligence, and financial intelligence can only be achieved by solving financial problems. Rich Dad said, "The rich get richer because they learn to solve financial problems." The rich see financial problems as opportunities to learn, to grow, to become smarter, and to become richer. The rich know that the higher their financial IQ, the bigger the problem they can handle, hence the more money they make. Instead of running, avoiding, or pretending money problems do not exist, the rich welcome financial problems because they know that problems are opportunities to become smarter. That is why they get richer. How the poor handle money problems. When it came to describing the poor, Rich Dad said, "The poor see money problems only as problems. Many feel they are victims of money. Many feel they are the only ones with money problems. They think that if they had more money, their money problems would be over. Little do they know that their attitude towards money problems is the problem. Their attitude creates their money problems. Their inability to solve, or avoidance of them, only prolongs their money problems and makes them bigger. Instead of becoming richer, they become poorer. Instead of increasing their financial IQ, the only thing the poor increase is their financial problems. How the middle class handle money problems. While the poor are the victims of money, the middle class are prisoners of money. In describing the middle class, Rich Dad said, the middle class solve their money problems differently. Instead of solving the money problem, they think they can outsmart their money problems. The middle class will spend money to go to school, so they can get a secure job. Most are smart enough to earn money and put up a firewall, a buffer zone, between them and their money problems. They buy a house, commute to work, play it safe, climb the corporate ladder, and save for retirement by buying stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. They believe their academic or professional education is enough to insulate them from the cruel, harsh world of money. At the age of 50, said Rich Dad, many middle-aged people discover that they are a prisoner in their own office. Many are valued employees. They have experience. They earn enough money, and have enough job security. Yet deep down they know they are trapped financially, and they lack the financial intelligence to escape from their office prison. They look forward to surviving 15 more years when, at age 65, they can retire and then begin to live, on a leaner budget, of course. Rich Dad said, the middle class think they outsmart their money problems by being smart academically and professionally. Most lack financial education, which is why most tend to value financial security rather than take on financial challenges. Instead of becoming entrepreneurs, they work for entrepreneurs. Instead of investing, they turn their money over to financial experts to manage their money. Instead of increasing their financial IQ, they stay busy, hiding in their offices. How the rich handle money problems. When looking at financial intelligence, it becomes easy to see that there are 5 core intelligences an individual must develop to become rich. This book is about those 5 financial intelligences. This book is also about integrity. When most people think of the word integrity, they think of it as an ethical concept. That is not what I mean when I use the word. Integrity is wholeness. According to Webster's, it is the quality or state of being complete or undivided. A person who has mastered the 5 financial intelligences I write about in this book has achieved financial integrity. When the rich have money problems, they use their financial integrity, developed through many years of facing and solving problems with the 5 financial intelligences, to solve those problems. If the rich don't know the answer to their money problems, they don't walk away and throw in the towel. They seek out experts who can help them solve their problems. In the process, they become financially more intelligent and are that much more equipped to solve the next problem when it comes around. The rich don't quit. They learn. And by learning, they grow richer. Solving other people's financial problems. Rich Dad also said, many people work for rich people, solving rich people's money problems. For example, an accountant goes to work to count the rich person's money. The salesperson sells the rich person's products. The office manager manages the rich person's business. The secretary answers the rich person's phones and treats the rich person's customers respectfully. The maintenance man keeps the rich person's buildings and machines running smoothly. A lawyer protects the rich person from other lawyers and lawsuits. A CPA protects the rich person's money from taxes. And the banker keeps the rich person's money safe. What Rich Dad was getting at was that most people work at solving other people's money problems. But who solves the workers' money problems? Most people go home and are faced with many problems, money being one of them. If a person fails to handle his or her money problems at home, the problem, like a toothache, leads to other problems. Many of the poor and middle class work for the rich and then fail to solve their own money problems at home. Instead of looking at financial problems as opportunities to get smarter, they go home, sit in the lawn chair, have a drink, put a steak on the grill, and watch TV. The next morning, they return to work once again solving someone else's problems and making someone else richer. Poor Dad's solution. My poor dad tried to solve his money problems by going back to school. He liked school. He did well in school, and felt safe. He obtained higher degrees, and became a PhD with advanced degrees. He looked for a higher paying job. He tried to outsmart his money problems by becoming academically and professionally smarter, but failed to become financially smarter. He was a well-educated, hard-working man. Unfortunately, being well-educated and hard-working did not solve his money problems. His money problems only grew bigger as his income went up because he avoided financial problems. He tried to solve his financial problems with academic and professional solutions. Rich Dad's solution. My rich dad looked for financial challenges, which is why he started businesses and actively invested. Many people thought he did what he did only to make more money. In reality, he did what he did because he loved financial challenges. He looked for financial problems to solve, not just for the money, but to make him smarter and to increase his financial IQ. Rich Dad often used a game of golf as a metaphor to explain his money philosophy. He would say, "Money is my score. My financial statement is my scorecard. Money and my financial statement tell me how smart I am and how well I am playing the game." Simply put, Rich Dad got richer because the game of money was his game. And he wanted to be the best he could be at his game. As he got older, he got better at his game. His financial IQ went up and the money poured in. Playing the game. In the following chapters, I will go into the 5 financial intelligences people need to develop if they want to increase their financial IQ and achieve financial integrity. While developing the 5 financial intelligences may not be easy and may take a lifetime to develop, the good news is that very few people know of the 5 financial intelligences, much less have the drive to develop their financial IQ and improve their score. Just by knowing these intelligences you are better equipped than 95% of society to solve your money problems. Personally, my days are dedicated to increasing the 5 financial intelligences. For me, my financial education never stops. At the start, my process to increase my financial IQ was difficult and clumsy. Just like my golf game. There was a lot of failure, a lot of money lost, a lot of frustration, and a lot of personal doubt. At first, my classmates made more money than me. Today, I make much more money than most of my classmates. While I do enjoy the money, I work primarily for the challenge. I love learning. I work because I love the game of money, and I want to be the best I can be at my game. I could have retired a long time ago. I have more than enough money. But what would I do if I retired? Play golf? Golf is not my game. Golf is what I do for fun. Business, investing, and making money is my game. I love my game. I am passionate about the game. So if I retired, I would lose my passion, and what is life without passion? Who should play the game of money? Do I think everyone should play this game of money? My answer is, like it or not, everyone is already playing the game of money. Rich or poor, we are all involved in the game of money. The difference is some people play harder, know the rules, and use them to their advantage more than others. Some people are more dedicated, more passionate, more committed to learning and to winning. When it comes to the game of money, most people are playing, if they know they are playing at all, not to lose rather than playing to win. Since we are all involved in the game of money anyway, better questions may be: are you a student of the game of money? Are you dedicated to winning the game? Are you passionate about learning? Are you willing to be the best you can be? Do you want to be as rich as you can be? If you are, then read on. This book is for you. If you are not, there are easier books to read and easier games to play. For just as in the game of golf, there are many professional golfers, but only a few rich professional golfers. In summary, in 1971 and 1974, the rules of money changed. These changes have caused massive financial problems worldwide, requiring greater financial intelligence to solve them. Unfortunately, our government and schools have not addressed these changes or the problems. So the financial problems today are monstrous. In my lifetime, America went from the richest country in the world to the biggest debtor nation in the world. Many people hope the government will solve their financial problems. I do not know how the government can solve your problems when it cannot solve its own money problems. In my opinion, it is up to individuals to solve their own problems. The good news is that if you solve your own problems, you get smarter and richer. The lesson to be remembered from this chapter is that, rich or poor, we all have money problems. The only way to get rich and increase your financial intelligence is to actively solve your money problems. The poor and middle class tend to avoid or pretend they do not have money problems. The problem with this attitude is that their money problems persist, and their financial intelligence grows slowly, if at all. The rich take on financial problems. They know that solving financial problems makes them smarter, and increases their financial IQ. The rich know that it is financial intelligence, not money, that ultimately makes you rich. The problem with the poor and middle class is they don't have enough money. The rich have the problem of too much money. Both are real and legitimate problems. The question is, which problem do you want? If you want the problem of having too much money, read on.